What if consciousness wasn't exclusive to humans, or even to animals? What if it was a mathematical property, a measurable trait that emerges from complexity itself? That's the radical idea behind Integrated Information Theory, or IIT. Developed by neuroscientist Giulio Tononi, IIT proposes that consciousness arises from how information is integrated in a system. It doesn't just matter how much data is present, it matters how deeply that data is connected. The key symbol in IIT is the Greek letter, ophi, gimion. It represents the quantity of integrated information in a system. A high F system, like the human brain, has richly connected networks where information flows in multiple directions. It's highly conscious. A low F system, like a thermostat or a potato, has minimal internal integration. Not so conscious. What's bold about IIT is that it doesn't restrict consciousness to biological brains. According to the theory, any system with sufficient complexity and integration could possess consciousness, even if it doesn't behave like us. This means animals, artificial intelligences, and perhaps even networks, like the internet could, in theory, be conscious to some degree. Imagine a self-driving car, a smart city grid, or a brain-computer interface. Could they have a sliver of awareness? Could consciousness be everywhere, in tiny sparks and flickers, waiting for complexity to wake it up? IIT reframes consciousness not as a magical quality, but as a structural property of matter. Under the right conditions, it arises, not as a bonus, but as a necessity. But this theory, like all ambitious ideas, has its critics. Some argue it's too speculative, relying heavily on equations and abstract models without enough experimental support. They question whether Bao is really the right metric, or if it oversimplifies something vastly more nuanced. Others bring up the combination problem, a philosophical challenge. If small conscious systems exist, like individual neurons, how do they combine into a larger conscious whole? Is your consciousness just the sum of all your neuron consciousnesses? If so, where do they go when the larger mind takes over? It's a puzzle with no clear answer. Another challenge is verification. How do we know a system is conscious? We can't ask a smart toaster if it has thoughts. We rely on behavior, and behavior can be deceptive. A chatbot might seem sentient, but that doesn't prove anything. Still, IIT has made waves. Some researchers are using it to analyze brain scans, trying to map levels of consciousness in sleep, anesthesia, and coma. Others are applying it to AI systems, exploring whether machines could one day reach the thresholds of awareness. It's a bold frontier, because if IIT is right, then consciousness is not a human trait. It's a universal phenomenon, a spectrum, not a light switch, a fabric woven into the structure of reality itself. This idea echoes older philosophical views, like panpsychism, which suggests that all matter has some degree of mind. From atoms to galaxies, the universe may be dappled with awareness. That's a radical shift from the materialist view that consciousness is just a byproduct of the brain. It suggests the opposite, that consciousness might be primary, and matter arises within it. At Infinity Beyond, we're fascinated by these boundary-pushing theories, not because they're all correct, but because they stretch our minds beyond the usual limits. They challenge us to ask, what counts as conscious? If a brain is conscious, what about a brain-like computer? If a baby is conscious, what about a dolphin or an AI trained on human emotions? And if we can measure consciousness mathematically, what happens when a machine scores higher than we do? These are not future hypotheticals. They're coming faster than we think. As AI grows more powerful and brain-computer interfaces expand, we must ask, what is awareness? And how do we protect it, recognize it, respect it? Maybe consciousness isn't the rare jewel we once believed. Maybe it's everywhere, like water, flowing through systems in small or great amounts. And just maybe, we're only beginning to wake up. In our next segment, we'll explore the mind-bending idea that Osu consciousness creates reality, not the other way around. Could the observer shape the universe itself? Stay tuned. Stay expansive.